Welcome to Starbound. My name is Aaron, and I'll be your narrator today. And if you love human-made HFY stories, then you can check us out on Patreon now, where you'll find exclusive episodes that you can't see anywhere else. But in the meantime, let's get to today's first story. The screens had been running for 19 days. 347 hours of intercepted human broadcast signal, processed through the facility's translation array, and stripped of the audio track the array had not yet fully mapped. Audio translation was incomplete at the time of analysis. The VEF analytical standard did not permit the inclusion of unverified data in a formal assessment. They worked from what they could confirm. The visual data was unambiguous.
Formations,
Vale said, advancing to the first display. Commander Doss stood at the center of the room with his hands behind his back.
The combatants array in structured configurations before each engagement. 43 distinct types identified. The forward grouping anchors the line of contact. The rear manages positional advantage and depth. The configurations rotate on a cycle that suggests both pre-planning and real-time command adjustment.
He moved to the second display.
Territorial objective.
The footage showed a rectangular field bounded at each end by a clearly defined zone.
The engagement is primarily oriented around the capture of this terminal zone. Ground gained is measurable, tracked, and disputed at every increment. The tactical logic is unambiguous.
Doss said nothing. On screen, two human combatants collided with a force that made Doss stop watching everything else.
Crowd behavior. 80,000 individuals per engagement. Coordinated vocalization at moments of tactical significance. A sound pressure event our instruments classify as psychological warfare. The command structure operates from the field's periphery, directing pre-planned tactical packages. We have catalogued over 60 distinct packages in the footage reviewed.
Your assessment,
Doss said.
The humans are a martial species of the highest order.
Vale had written the sentence 14 times before settling on its simplest form.
Their capacity for organized violence is structural, not incidental. I recommend escalation to High Command.
Doss looked at the screens for a long moment.
Validated first. Liaison channel. Get the humans' confirmation before it goes upward.
He looked at Vale.
Standard protocol.
Of course.
Doss left. Wren shut down the secondary displays. Vale looked at the remaining screen. A frozen frame from footage recorded at a venue the translation array had partially rendered as something that sounded, played at low confidence, like Rose Bowl. A human combatant frozen mid-stride, his body angled at a geometry that spoke of a lifetime of controlled collision. He scheduled the contact for the following morning. The human was eating when the connection opened. He was in a gray shirt, with a dark navy and burnt orange logo Vale didn't recognize, sitting in a small office, a container of food on the desk in front of him. Staff Sergeant Dale Kowalski, 14 years of service, currently assigned to the Interspecies Liaison Program. His file said he had grown up in Chicago. His father had held season tickets to something called the Bears since before Kowalski was born. He had attended his first match at age 4, fallen asleep in the third quarter, and woken for the final drive. He had, according to his own personal notes, been watching final drives ever since. Vale had not known what to make of that notation when he read it. He was beginning to think it was important.
Staff Sergeant Kowalski, he said. Thank you for your time. I have recordings I need you to review. This is a formal intelligence matter.
Kowalski set down his food and leaned forward. His eyes went to the display on his side of the connection. Vale pulled up the first recording. It was standard footage from the 4th week of the reviewed material, a full engagement. The camera angles covering the territorial field from 3 positions, the crowd visible in the upper frame, a mid-engagement moment, selected because it showed the command structure and 3 simultaneous tactical formations in the same frame. Vale had chosen it as his opening exhibit because it demonstrated, in a single image, the full scope of the coordinated effort involved: formation, command, territorial conquest, crowd response, all of it in one frame. He considered it a good selection. He watched Kowalski's face. Something changed in Kowalski's expression. Not alarm, not recognition of a threat. Something else. Something that did not have a Veth analog. It arrived the way certain things arrived. Not as new information, but as something recognized. Familiar. The expression of a man who had just seen something he knew very well, from a direction he had not expected. Vale watched him work through it. He watched the shift complete itself, the moment a thing stopped being an anomaly and became a thing with a name. Kowalski was quiet for a moment. He looked at the display. He looked at the formation in the left panel. He looked at the crowd footage in the upper frame. He looked at the command structure visible at the field's edge, the figures in the bright-colored garments with the headpieces that Vale had logged as command communication arrays. He sat back. "Where did you get recordings of the Rose Bowl?" "The Rose Bowl," Kowalski said. He was leaning forward now, his food forgotten. "The 2031 Rose Bowl, third quarter. That's Michigan's spread package. I'd know it anywhere." He stopped himself. Vale explained. Intercepted broadcast signals. 19 days of analysis. A comprehensive threat assessment of human martial capability. He was seeking confirmation before escalating to high command. Kowalski sat with that for a moment. He looked at the display again, at the formation, at the command structure visible at the field's edge, at the crowd in the upper frame. Something moved through his expression that Vale did not yet have vocabulary for. Kowalski laughed. Not unkindly, a short, involuntary sound, the kind that escapes before you can stop it. He caught himself. "This isn't warfare," he said. Vale brought up his assessment on the secondary display.
"The methodology was thorough,"
he said. "No." The way you said no to someone who had made a reasonable mistake with the information they had. "I mean this literally. These are not military recordings. This is college football." He paused, reading Vale's expression. "You don't have that word. Okay." He settled back in his chair, the manner of a man about to explain something from the beginning. "It's a sport, a game. You play it for points. The rectangular field is the pitch. The end zones at each end are the territorial objective you logged. You score by getting the ball into the opposing team's end zone. The other team tries to stop you."
"The formations,"
Vale said. "Offensive and defensive line arrangements, yes, they're tactical. The game is tactical." Kowalski pulled up something on his side of the connection. "This formation Michigan is running, that's called a spread. Puts receivers wide, stretches the defense horizontally, creates running lanes in the middle. Standard college formation for about 30 years. Vale looked at his assessment, then the display, then his assessment.
"The command structure,"
he said.
"operating at the field's periphery."
"Coaching staff. Head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They call the plays, players execute." He glanced at the screen. "The figures in the colored garments, those are the coaches. The headpieces are communication rigs." Vale had logged the headpieces as command communication arrays. He had been correct. He pulled up the relevant footage.
"Here, the combatant receives the tactical object and moves as if to hand it to a second combatant, then retains it. The defensive formation commits to the wrong target."
"Play action fake." Kowalski confirmed it the way you confirm something obvious. "Classic misdirection. Gets the linebackers to bite on the run. Opens the passing lane."
"And this?"
Vale pulled up the sequence he had logged as terminal phase tactical escalation. The final 2 minutes of the contest. the tempo rising sharply, substitutions rapid, the crowd noise reaching its highest recorded levels.
The end sequence. The acceleration.
2-minute drill. Clock management.
Kowalski leaned forward slightly.
When you're behind in the final 2 minutes, you shift to a no-huddle offense. Faster plays conserve time. The whole tempo changes.
A pause.
You logged all of this as warfare?
The evidence,
Vale said carefully.
was consistent with that interpretation.
Kowalski didn't argue with that. He nodded, which Vale found unexpectedly disturbing.
How many humans participate in this activity?
Players? At the college level, few thousand active across the major programs.
He scratched the back of his neck.
Fans are different. A regular season game, you're looking at tens of millions watching the broadcast alone. The championship, the national title game, that's closer to 100 million viewers.
Vale looked at his screens.
100 million humans observing a territorial contest.
Watching a football game, Kowalski said. Yeah.
And the crowd response, the vocalization, the emotional investment in the outcome.
That's just fans.
No irony in it.
People take it seriously.
Vale pulled up the crowd analysis from week 9 of the reviewed footage. 83,000 in attendance. The sound pressure readings. The synchronized behavioral responses he had logged as coordinated psychological warfare application. He had been thorough. He had been meticulous. He had been entirely correct. Kowalski looked comfortable. He did not look like a man who found any of this remarkable.
Every week?
Vale said.
Every week, Kowalski agreed. September through January. Then the draft. Then spring practice, summer camps.
He glanced at something off-screen and glanced back.
Basically all year, yeah.
Vale sat back. His assessment was on the screens around him. Every formation identified correctly. Every tactical sequence cataloged with accuracy. Every conclusion about human martial culture drawn in logical sequence from the evidence at hand. He looked at the footage of the Rose Bowl. He looked at the crowd. He looked at the coaching staff in their bright-colored garments, calling plays from the sideline with their communication rigs, and thought about the 22 tactical packages he had cataloged from this game alone. He had been completely right about everything he had observed. He had been completely wrong about what he was watching. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Then Kowalski asked,
"Do you want me to explain the rules?"
Vale looked at him.
Yes.
Kowalski leaned back. He had the easy posture of a man settling into something familiar. Something he had done so many times it had long since stopped requiring any effort. He glanced up to the left the way people do when they are reaching for a memory.
"Okay," he said. "So, the game is 60 minutes long, divided into 4 quarters. Each team gets the ball in sequence. The team with the ball is on offense. The team without it is on defense. Your job on offense is to advance the ball down the field and into the end zone. That's a touchdown, 6 points."
He paused.
"You following?"
Yes,
Vale said. He had opened a secondary document alongside his assessment. He was taking notes.
"After a touchdown, you get a chance at a bonus. Kick it through the uprights, that's 1 extra point. Run or pass it in from close range, that's 2.
Kowalski had settled into a rhythm now, the explanations coming in the same order they had probably come 1,000 times before. To a cousin who'd never watched, to a girlfriend who'd sat through her first game, to whoever in a room needed the primer.
But the main mechanic is the down system. You get 4 attempts, 4 downs, to advance the ball 10 yards. You make 10 yards, you get another set of 4 downs. You keep failing, eventually you give the ball over."
the tactical reset.
Vale said.
"Yeah,"
Kowalski pointed at him.
"Exactly. The down system is what creates the structure. That's why the formations matter so much, because the constraints are so tight. 4 downs, 10 yards, clock running. Every decision is made inside those constraints.
Vale wrote that down. He underlined it.
My father explained it to me the same way,
Kowalski said. He said it easily, without sentiment, the way you mentioned a fact.
First game I went to, I was 4. I fell asleep in the 3rd quarter. Woke up for the final drive.
He smiled at something.
2-minute drill. Exactly the kind of thing you flagged.
Your father attended frequently.
Season tickets.
Kowalski said it the way people said things that were simply the furniture of a life.
His father had them before him. I've got them now.
He glanced at something off-screen.
My son'll have them after me, probably.
Vale wrote that down too. His notes, had anyone read them over his shoulder, would have been indistinguishable from a tactical briefing. They went on for another 40 minutes. The scoring system, the special teams, the role of field positions and field goals, and the mathematics of the 2-point conversion decision. Kowalski answered questions with the fluid ease of a man who found the subject inexhaustible, and the questioner worth answering carefully. When he talked about specific games, the 2031 Rose Bowl, a championship game 3 years earlier that he described with what Vale could only categorize as proprietary pride, he named players, named plays, named the exact down and distance when the game had turned. He did not once describe any of it as remarkable. When the session ended, Kowalski's side of the connection went dark, and Vale was alone in the contact room with his screens. He turned to his assessment. He read it from the beginning, the methodology note, the formations analysis, the territorial objective, the crowd behavior, the command structure, the tactical packages, the 22 packages cataloged from a single contest, the 60-odd he had cataloged across the full footage reviewed, every observation made with care and accuracy, every inference drawn cleanly from the evidence, every conclusion arrived at through the logical application of the only analytical framework he had. The humans were a martial species of the highest order. He had written it 14 times, and it was still true. He had simply been watching what they did with their leisure time. Vale opened a new document. Not a retraction. The assessment was accurate, every word of it, and retracting accurate observations was not something the VETH analytical standard permitted. What was required was context, scope, the addition of information that changed the weight of the conclusions without changing their accuracy. He read the first line of the assessment. The humans are a martial species of the highest order. He thought about Kowalski explaining the 2-minute drill. He thought about Kowalski's son, who would inherit the season tickets. He thought about a species that, having spent uncounted generations refining the arts of territorial conflict, collective aggression, and strategic violence, had looked at all of that accumulated capacity and decided to play games with it on Saturday afternoons while 100 million of their kind watched. He sat with the cursor for a moment. Then he started typing. The recordings reviewed do not depict military operations. He paused, read it back, continued. They depict a recreational activity.
Hello, my all members, subscribers, followers. I said that my channel is low altogether, and I have submitted some videos in English to change the motto of my channel. Please subscribe my channel, view my videos, and share in all of your friends on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, every social media platform to send my video and view more videos. Viewer in my video. Please help me to provide some time to spend with me. Thank you to all the members who can subscribe my channel and support me some time. Please view more video and entertainment video. Please help me sometime to support my channel because I am a low middle class family. Please help me.